Something imitates and something precedes. There is marketing of solutions. This is porcellanato, a comprehensive rejuvenation procedure. Is this part clear? A product can be a solution. For example, shooting such beautiful videos. Let's consider separately the marketing of goods and services as such, and the marketing of solutions as such. Because a product can be a solution and a product can be just a product. And a service can be a solution, or it can simply be a service. I'll try to explain now. Look, if you buy a phone, then the phone is a self-sufficient product. It is not part of something bigger. 95% of people use a phone to make calls, communicate, search for information, and use the internet. But if you buy a phone, for example, to shoot beautiful videos with world-class expertise like I do, then the phone becomes part of a certain solution. That is, along with the phone, you need, for example, a stabilizer, microphones, lighting, a studio, and so on. So a phone as a phone is a product valuable in itself, and in that case it needs to be advertised, it needs to be promoted. The marketing approach to a phone as a product is one thing. If the phone is part of a solution, then in that case you need to sell the solution, not the phone. That's the key point. And we're talking about an ecosystem of products and services as such, and an ecosystem of solutions. And solutions can be both products and services. Is this part clear? Okay. Now let's take a service as an example. For instance, if it's a laser hair removal service, then of course that's a service. But this service is quite simple. How do you get it done? You need to make an appointment at the clinic, come in and undergo the procedure. That's it. It's not part of any solution. It might be part of some solution if you are undergoing a comprehensive treatment or a complex rejuvenation procedure. In that case, it should be treated as a service that is part of a larger process, some kind of process. And then you need to focus on marketing this process or marketing the solution as a whole. But if you are selling just a service, just like in the example with the phone, then you need to focus on marketing the service and only the service. Do you understand why I say that there are products and services as such? That's one, let's say, planet, and then there are solutions. And the difference is that there are products and services as such. There is product marketing and service marketing, but they are very similar types of marketing. But then there is solution marketing, when a product or service becomes part of some ecosystem of solutions, and they become part of something bigger. If you are selling, advertising, or marketing a specific product or a specific service, then you are engaged in product or service marketing. If they are part of something bigger, then you need to focus on marketing the solution as an entire system. Let me give you an example of a product that is actually part of a more complex solution. For example, ceramic granite. Its original name is porcellanato. Typically, this is an Italian or Spanish technology, also developed in some other countries where clay is available. If we take a moment to look at ceramic granite as a product, as a standalone material, it simply does not possess any unique qualities, any particular value for marketing. For marketing, the value lies in the ecosystem. This ecosystem includes ceramic granite itself, as well as design, adhesive for it, so to speak, materials for joints and installers. In other words, it is part of a larger project, and as a rule, no one buys ceramic granite separately. It is purchased as part of some kind of solution. That is, it may be displayed in a store, it is there, and people choose it based on aesthetic qualities at first. But if the technical specifications do not fit this larger solution, it will never be chosen. So that's an example of a product that is part of a solution. I'll give another example of a service that is part of some larger solution. For example, this could be a service like heating and water supply. Heating and water supply, as a rule, are done. If it's not a repair, but rather the installation of such a system, then it is part of the house. For example, in a private house, it is carried out in a certain sequence. It cannot be performed separately as an independent service. It follows something and precedes something else. That is, you need to order it, so to speak. when the house is already prepared to a certain extent but not yet completely finished. In other words, it occupies a specific place in the technological process of building the house, and the marketing of this service must take that into account. When a person decides to build a house, you already need to think about how you will sell them this installation, heating, and water supply system. Therefore, it is correct to say that this service is not a self-sufficient service. It is part of something bigger, and you need to advertise more broadly to do marketing for a larger, so to speak, entity into which you will include, let's say, heating and water supply services. Therefore, it is more correct to frame the question as marketing of goods and services rather than marketing of goods and marketing of services separately. There is marketing of goods and services, and there is marketing of solutions. This is an extremely critical and significant point that we need to consider, which many marketers don't even understand, but there are those who do. For an understanding of the difference, contact the agency Digital Marketing of the Web. Welcome.